the sun is setting at Tiger Beach, and we just started shark diving yesterday. Never been night diving before, but somebody thought it was a good idea we go diving with sharks at night. Was that you?
Definitely was not me.
No, it was this guy.
Oh.
It's gonna be fine, you guys!
It's gonna be fine, you guys.
Welcome back to Tiger Beach, the site of our first ever shark dive on Blue Wilderness. If you want to see sharks, like a ton of sharks, you come here. Tiger Beach is a small, pristine white sand flat about an hour's boat ride from West End, Grand Bahama. And it's one of the few places on Earth where you can see up to 5 species of shark all at the same time. Divers who make the pilgrimage here are rewarded with the chance to swim with scores of reef and nurse sharks, dozens upon dozens of lemon sharks, and if they're lucky, massive hammerhead and tiger sharks. The last time we entered this warm, crystal clear water, we found ourselves in the middle of a shark frenzy. We swam alongside an incredible hammerhead, and Coyote and I got up close and personal with a massive tiger shark. Well, maybe a little too close in the case of Coyote. So how do we top that? Well, on this episode of Blue Wilderness, we're going back in the water, but this time, we're waiting until the sun goes down.
All right, guys, well, the sun is setting at Tiger Beach, and we just started shark diving yesterday. Never been night diving before, but somebody thought it was a good idea we go diving with sharks at night. Was that you?
Definitely was not me.
No, it was this guy.
It's gonna be fine, you guys!
I mean, I don't know, is this a good idea for guys who haven't gone, night diving at all?
What's the worst that can happen?
I mean, we're surrounded by sharks.
Right, but, they're probably sleeping.
And we can't see!
Wait, don't sharks feed at night? Aren't they nocturnal predators?
It's gonna be fine.
We're gonna give it a shot, guys, so let's get geared up, get in the water with the sharks at night.
This dive into the darkness will test my resolve more than almost anything I've ever done before. But that's what drives me forward. At the core of every grand adventure lies a thin line between thrill and fear. And the moments where your nerves start to scream, "Turn around, go back," is exactly when the teammates next to you matter the most.
I'll tell you what. If I was nervous about diving with sharks during the day, I'm very nervous about diving with sharks at night.
Well, in case it's the last time, I'm Mark Vins. Mario's already down there. It's time to go dive with sharks at night.
As soon as we dipped below the surface, the world opened up. The last bit of twilight after sunset, combined with the white sands of Tiger Beach, allowed for a lot more visibility than we could have ever expected. But as we neared the bottom, the fleeting light that remained began to disappear. And so did our peripheral vision. Hey Mario, watch out! There's Yep, big tiger shark right behind you. Within minutes, the entire landscape turned pitch black, and our only field of view was directly in front of us. Other divers in the distance appeared as alien craft, with orb-like lights designating their location. With ominous shadows stirring the now murky water, we were surrounded on all sides by two things that have terrified humans since the beginning: sharks and darkness. But our focus was sharp, and as soon as we got our bearings, our fear was gone. Mostly. And then we noticed something we didn't expect to see at night. Color. You see, water is excellent at absorbing color from natural light. The deeper you go, the more color disappears. Red is the first to be absorbed, then orange, and then yellow, the same order as the colors of the rainbow. At our depth, during the day, the reef can look, well, pretty bland and washed out. But under the cover of night, our powerful dive lights illuminated a completely new world that had been right in front of us the entire time. Even the fish were more vibrant. And then, while we were all completely mesmerized by the colors of the reef, from out of the darkness, ghostly figures flew gracefully into view. These rays are filter-feeding fish. Their flight pulls plankton and other nutrients into their systems and spreads water across their gills, allowing them to breathe. Like spaceships flying across our night sky, just as fast as they appeared, they were gone. The rays may have vanished, but if there's one constant at Tiger Beach, it's, well, sharks. And more specifically, tiger sharks. We knew they were out there, but at night, we couldn't see them until they were right in front of us. They drifted in and out of our light like phantoms. The effect was chilling and surreal, and so unnerving, in fact, that I started to actually become numb to it. Here I am, sitting at the bottom of a pitch-black ocean, surrounded by deadly nocturnal hunters, and I'm totally at their mercy. And then, suddenly, we came upon something that would change my perspective of sharks forever. It was a lemon shark, and it appeared to be, well, sleeping. Okay, so sharks don't actually sleep, at least not like we sleep. But some sharks, like nurse sharks or this lemon shark, go into restful periods that appear like sleep. But trust me, this shark was still wide awake and ready to defend itself against anything, including a curious first-time night diver. But did that stop me? Nope. This would be the perfect opportunity to get some great close-ups of that shark. And of course, its razor-sharp teeth. Lemon sharks can grow up to 10 feet long and weigh over 400 pounds. But despite their imposing size, they tend to be gentle giants and are not responsible for any known human fatalities. Although, like any shark, they will bite if provoked. They can be found in shallow waters and hunt with their incredible electroreceptors. And just in case you're wondering, they do have a slightly yellow tinge to their skin, you know, like a lemon. Gentle or not, I knew this sleeping giant was still an apex predator capable of inflicting life-threatening injuries. And the last thing I wanted to do was provoke it, especially at night this far from shore. But we filmed with grizzly bears and badgers. This was my chance. I had to get the shot. And to my surprise, I was able to lie right next to the nearly 10-foot shark. This was amazing, a life-changing experience to say the least. And now I would never approach a tiger shark or other top land predator like this, but laying there beside this incredible creature, I could sense its gentle nature. And it became clear that it had accepted my presence and was allowing us to film with it. And then I reached out, testing its trust. I couldn't believe it. It actually let me make contact. I was literally petting a shark. This chance encounter cultivated within me a growing sense of connection, not only to this creature, but to its entire aquatic realm. Swimming during the day in a frenzy of tiger sharks, and now petting a lemon shark on my first night dive, reminded me of how misunderstood these animals are. Our fear of them, like our fear of the dark, is really just a fear of the unknown. Every single time we go out for a blue wilderness adventure, we've managed to see something unexpected. And this incredible dive, our first night dive, was no exception. Swimming among them, and literally lying beside them in the darkness of Tiger Beach at night, brought home to me more than ever how meaningful our adventures could be to better understanding the mysteries of the ocean. Ascending back to the surface, I couldn't wait to celebrate with the team what had just happened. I knew that this night would be a story that Mario and I would share for many years to come.
Right now, we are searching these tide pools off the coast of Eastern Australia for the most toxic fish on the planet. The stonefish is notorious for having the most painful sting in all of nature. And today, I'm going to get stung by a stonefish. But first, we've got to find one. Let's get looking. It's going to be very hard to find the stonefish because in addition to their legendary sting, they are masters of hiding. The key to this is going to be to move slow, methodically, and to not step on the stonefish. You could be looking right at a stonefish and not even realize it. That's why so many people step on them by accident. But stonefish aren't all we have to look out for. This isn't the only animal that could do you harm here in the tide pools off of Australia. We also have cone snails and the blue ring octopus, one of the most lethal creatures in the world. And not only is it risky just being out here, but we also have to beat the clock. The tide is coming in fast, and this whole area is about to be completely underwater. So if we want to catch a stonefish, we need to do that before it happens. Everything looks exactly the same. This is going to be tough. Oh, right there. You see it moving? That is the stonefish. And I never would have seen that fish if it didn't give itself away by moving. Holy smokes. Now these fish are so toxic, they don't really have a flight response. I'm gonna attempt to catch the most toxic fish in the world with my bare hands. All right, here we go. Wow, there it is. That is the stonefish. Look at that tide pool monster. I can't believe we found one. I mean, it looks like a living rock. I never would have spotted this fish if it didn't move. The fact that it swam a little bit there is the only reason I was able to catch this fish. And you can see how docile this fish is. It knows just how toxic it can be. Wow. But the table is set for what will be likely the worst sting I ever take. Placing the stonefish in the tank hit my nerves hard. I'm about to get stung by a stonefish. Stonefish stings are said to be one of the most painful experiences a human can endure. And I've already experienced my fair share of fish stings. One from the most common fish sting, which is the lionfish. And the other from the scorpionfish, which is the most toxic fish sting in North America. Oh, yeah, he got me. Oh. Each sting was painful, but I was certainly able to tough it out with basic treatment. However, each of those fish fall far short of the danger from the stonefish. Not every day you get to carry around the world's most toxic fish in a tank. This fish might just have the worst sting in the entire animal kingdom. Man, my nerves are firing right now. Just looking at this fish is so incredibly cool. Look at all the growths all over its body. Definitely earns its name, the stonefish, a master of camouflage. All right, let's go hands-on once again with the stonefish. The reason I can handle this fish is because it can only sting from the spines on top. Wow. This fish has developed the most potent fish toxin in the world. The toxin is only to defend itself. Unfortunately, as you can see, it is so docile that it's very easy for people to step on these fish. And that is the most common way people are stung by the stonefish. The toxin of this fish not only induces extraordinary pain, it can actually cause muscle spasms and eventual paralysis. And there have even been reported deaths from stonefish stings. But now I think it's time to see how this fish injects its venom. I'm going to just pour out this water. I'm gonna use this little tank here as a platform. This fish is perfectly fine being out of the water for extended periods of time because they've adapted the ability to actually hold water in their gills. It's not uncommon to see stonefish just laying on the rocks in these tide pools. So in the little bit of time that we have it here in front of the cameras, totally fine. All right, so I brought with me a piece of neoprene. I'm going to use this piece of neoprene to simulate skin so I can show you what would happen if you stepped on the stonefish. This animal has the ability to fire its venom into the wound created by its spine. That's why people who are envenomated and step on these stonefish end up in such a bad situation. It's not only that it's the most toxic venom, it's that you also get the most volume. Look at how sharp that spine is. Okay, in order to do this properly, I do need to get out some eye protection, so I'm gonna do that quickly. This venom, it has enough toxin in it to cause vision problems and perhaps even blindness. All right, let's see in slow motion how these spines inject venom. I'm gonna do these top two, guys, ready? Here they go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wow. Look at that. And it's like blue. Holy cow, look at how much venom just came out of that fish. And let's do another one, do it one more time. Oh my gosh, guys, the spines are blue. And once those spines are out, they stay out and they're ready to defend. All right, let me try these spines on the back here. 1, 2, 3. Wow, that is what would be inside of your foot if you were to step on a stonefish. Now, it will regenerate its venom. This doesn't hurt the fish at all. And you can see these sheaths will just slide right back up. But holy cow, I gotta take a minute and process what I just saw. Oh, that is bad. I won't lie, I'm getting pretty nervous right now. This is something you should never do. I've consulted experts, people who have been stung. I've done my research, I've done my homework, but even still, I am extremely nervous about what is about to happen. It's said that this is the most painful sting in the world. Wish me luck. The moment has come. It's time to be stung by the world's most toxic fish. I am borderline terrified. I've thought long and hard about whether or not to even go through with this, but I'm doing this today because through my research on the stonefish, I have found a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of stories that pretty much describe certain death if you're stung by a stonefish, and that's just simply not the case. While this toxin in the base of its spines is extremely potent, it is thermolyable. So if treated properly and if needed with medical attention, you will survive the sting of a stonefish. Most of the victims that end up dying from stonefish stings, but has more to do with the pain and shock that leads to cardiac arrest. This venom is meant to cause you pain, but I have brought the antidote with me today. A thermos filled with hot water that's around 114 degrees Fahrenheit, a compress to hold over the wound, and then of course, if I do go into any state of anaphylactic shock, I always carry with me an EpiPen. We are about 3 minutes drive from an emergency room, so even if the worst case scenario does unfold today, I should have plenty of time to be able to get to emergency medical attention. All right, my plan today is to take a microdose of stonefish venom. The venom from that neoprene trial is already coating the spikes, so they are locked and loaded, ready to go. When it's all said and done, this should be just extraordinarily painful for me and hopefully very educational for you. This is going to likely be the worst sting that I ever take. I'm Mark Vins, and I'm about to enter the sting zone with the stonefish, the most toxic fish in the world. All right, I'm gonna go with this front spine here. Ready? This spine. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Ah! Yep. I already feel a burn. I could feel it spreading up my finger right now. And it does not feel good. Wow, the tide is coming in. All right, here, let's, hang on. Let's move out of here, the tide's rolling in.
You okay, Mark?
Yeah, hang on, I'm gonna come over here. Andrew, put the fish back in the tank, man. Oh, right there is where the spine went in. God, immediate fire, spreading up my fingers. I can already feel it in these three.
Can you help, Mark? Are you okay?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay right now. It's like a different magnitude of pain. It is like throbby, achy. Hang on, I gotta walk it off. Yeah. I'm gonna try to tough it out for a little bit. I wanna see how far the venom spreads before I start applying the first aid. This is borderline unbearable. Oh my gosh.
Let me know when you need the water, Mark.
I'm just like, it's making me nervous. Oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely drew a little bit of blood. Oh, and it is hot. It's like closing my hand is becoming hard. Yeah, it's spreading. It's like all up the back of my hand now. I think I need to go for the hot water, guys. I don't want this to spread anymore. I'm going to hot water. There we go. Stonefish is good. Now, I need to fix myself. So this hot water will actually stop the venom from working and should help my pain. Every bit as painful as advertised. I never want to do that again. And I need to get more hot water on this sting. And hopefully the pain subsides, but it's still increasing for me. Tingling pain continued to build and spread up through my shoulder all the way to my neck. Even a month after the sting, I still have numbness and tingles in my fingers. The immediate pain wasn't enough to send me to the hospital, but as we released the stonefish, I could imagine what would happen if a full load of its venom were to go in my foot. That instance would send you directly to the hospital. And if you're ever stung, please, you should seek medical attention as soon as possible. Needless to say, the stonefish certainly lives up to the legend of being the most painful fish on the planet. I'm Mark Venz, and right now we are in the outback of Western Australia looking for a truly bizarre creature, and it's covered in razor-sharp spines. Let's just say catching this one, it's gonna hurt a little. This creature is just as shy as it is sharp, so first we have to track one down in this huge forest, which also happens to be home to another one of the rarest and most endangered animals on the planet that we're also trying to find by the end of this video. But in order to catch this giant spike ball, we're going to need to look for clues. Oh yeah, right there, check that out. This is a termite nest. This would be a perfect feast for the creature that we're after today. That tells me we are on the right track. Let's keep searching. Our second clue is that these creatures love to hide near trees and stumps. So that's where we're spending the most time looking. The problem is, this forest is full of hiding places. This is like looking for a needle or a big pile of needles in a giant haystack. After hours of searching, we got lucky with the discovery of a final clue. That is a good sign right there. That's some poop from the creature we're after. You can see all the ants and termites in here. That means we're getting close. Oh, right there. That's an echidna. Look at that. Ho-ho! Yes! That is what we have been looking for all morning long. That is Australia's spikiest creature, the echidna. And it is, yeah, wow, that is sharp. Okay, the echidna from the top is a tank riddled with spikes and a super tough skin. But underneath the echidna is a soft belly. And I'm gonna try to work my hand underneath this animal so I can present it to you. This is probably going to be a challenge. Let's see if I get my hand underneath. Ready? Come here, buddy. It's okay. And he's just wriggling in there. Ah! Oh, he's spiky. Ah, he's getting me. Now, unlike a porcupine, their spines can't release, but they are super sharp nonetheless. Ow! Okay. Okay, he's really wedged in there, guys. This is gonna be tough. Ah! Yeah, getting nailed. All right, I'm gonna have to use some gloves here. There's no way I'm gonna be able to pry out this echidna. It is basically puffing up its body, using its spikes to wedge itself into this stump of the tree. All right, here we go. Luckily, I always carry a good pair of gloves with me on every adventure. There we go. I wanna get to the underside of the echidna that is much softer, and that should allow me to hold it for the scene. But I'm gonna have to do this really carefully. I'm trying to like work under all of the different spines. There we go. Okay, now these spines are nothing more than modified hairs, so this isn't hurting the echidna at all. It's only hurting me. Ah! Oh, you're sharp. Ow! Poked right through the glove. Okay, I've got the underside. Got the underside, this is good. Okay, I think I feel his foot. Ow! Oh gosh, you were really, get spined so bad. Okay, all right, I'm underneath him. I'm underneath him. This is good. The underbelly is so much easier to contend with. All right, right, got him, got him. I've got the echidna. We got one, guys. That is the echidna. Hello! All right, let's go this way. I see an opening over here, this will be perfect. So I think for the echidna to be most comfortable, it's gonna mean a little discomfort for me. I'm gonna attempt to take my gloves off to do this scene, not only in hopes that the echidna will be more comfortable and will show us that beak, but also as to show everyone why you should never pick up an echidna. Oh boy. Hello. This animal likes to hide by wedging against the nearest object. In this case, it's my foot. Gotta get to the soft belly part. Oh, you're so sharp. Come here. Come here. Every time I try to pick him up, his spikes break under the skin of my fingernails. Come on, come on, come on, Knuckles. Anybody who is a fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog video game definitely knows Knuckles the Echidna. And you are tough as nails, Knuckles. Yeah! Hey buddy, I'm gonna put you on my knee, if that's okay. It's going through my pants. Knuckles! Oh my gosh, it's so sharp. Okay, hi. You are the spikiest creature I have ever held with my bare hands. Oh my goodness. Okay, this animal from the top side is almost bulletproof from any predator. Not only does it have these sharp spines, but the top hide is very tough. Now, on the underside of the echidna, there's very soft underbelly along with its face. Hopefully, this echidna will get comfortable enough with me today to show its little face because it is super adorable. I'm trying to make it as comfortable as I can. As discomforting as it is for me, I want to show you that adorable little beak, the face of the echidna. Come on, buddy. I'm just gonna hold it here and try to be silent. Try to be silent! Oh my gosh. It's poking his nose at me. Come on, come out, say hi. Oh, I think we're gonna have an appearance of the echidna beak. Hi. Hello. Come say hi. Oh, I can see the eyeball. Come say hi. No, that's a no. Door slammed. There we go. Give it a shot. Show us your cute little mug. Try to be quiet. Fight through the pain. Because I want you to see the face of the echidna. Come out, show us. Show us the face. Here he comes. Can you see it? Oh, there's this now. Guys, get the shot. Hi. How are you? I'm not doing good. I hope you're doing well, though. All right, guys. That is the beak of the echidna. And it has been very painful to get on camera. You little spike ball. Okay. So you can see the boogery nose there. These animals just recently were discovered to be able to regulate their body heat by blowing snot bubbles on their nose. Oh man. Okay. Just gotta work through the pain a little bit. So an echidna feasts on a diet made up completely of ants and termites. In fact, this animal also has some of the best hearing of any animal in Australia, and it's so sophisticated, they can actually hear the termites and the ants crawling underground, which is why we have to be so quiet. It's so sharp. It is so sharp. And now, compared to the hedgehog, an echidna weighs a lot more. I would say this echidna is in excess of 10 pounds. And just the weight alone, makes it super sharp, and its spines, its spines are so sharp, guys. Okay. Now, you get a shot of that foot, you'll notice that it's actually backwards. That is a very unusual trait. A lot of times when people are tracking echidnas, they will actually follow them the opposite direction because of the fact that those hind feet are flipped in the opposite direction. These animals have long claws on the back of their feet that are primed for digging, and the echidna has the ability to dig in. And a lot of times when you see these in the environment, they are literally just a ball of spikes. In fact, the only predator that really targets the echidna here in Australia is the feral invasive fox. They'll actually pee on the back of these animals and get them to flip over to expose that soft underbelly. From the top, the echidna is almost bulletproof. From underneath, they're a little teddy bear. And that's why it curls up into a ball, just like this. All right. Look at that face. Ow, you hurt me. You hurt me so. Okay, put him down. Definitely drew some blood. That is like wildlife acupuncture. I do not recommend it. It's time to put our echidna back where we found it. And honestly, I'm not sure who's happier about this, me or the echidna. My hands are on fire right now. Ouch. With the echidna safely back in its tree and my hands throbbing in pain, it's now time to track down one of the rarest animals on the planet, the numbat, one of the last living relatives of the now extinct Tasmanian tiger. Most of the remaining numbats in the world live in Dryandra National Park, but Dryandra is completely surrounded by farmland, trapping the numbats inside. This forest is really the last place we can find them. Spotting one is going to be really challenging because they blend into the landscape perfectly. Luckily, just like the echidna, numbats feed on termites, so we know we're on the right trail. We searched the forest really hard for over 6 hours without a sign of anything. It was a ghost town, but just when I was thinking about giving up for the day, I noticed something furry running through the bushes. Oh my gosh, that's him. Oh my God. There he is. Found one. I got him. I'm filming a numbat. He's looking right at me. I can't believe it. Wow. This is one of the last numbats on the planet. Numbats are a critically endangered species with less than 1,000 left in the wild. Places like Dryandra National Park in Australia are so important in protecting species like this from going extinct. And that's why it's important that this forest remains standing. This has to be one of the rarest animals I've ever filmed. What's he doing now? What's he doing? No. Is he trying to crawl inside? No way. Never gonna fit. Ha! Look at his little legs go. He can barely fit. Is he gonna make it? Oh! And there he goes.
There is one species, however, that has always managed to elude us on every one of our expeditions to Central America. On one of our most recent trips, we even dedicated an entire night searching for this reptile in a specific area that had reports of recent sightings. But the terrain thoroughly exhausted us, and our efforts proved to be fruitless.
The ground is super muddy. You can see the mud all over my boots. It's basically like ice skating up and down mountainsides. It's super tiring. It takes about
a step and a half for every regular step you'd have on flat ground. So yeah, it's tough work.
The following morning, however, we received an unexpected call. Our target species was found on a private property a few hours away. The landowner wanted to relocate it for fear it would bite one of his workers. Without hesitation, we set off to encounter a snake the locals call Mataboy, the ox killer, or commonly known as the Bushmaster. Our goal would be to assist in the relocation process, but also assess the health of this snake before release at a wildlife reserve. The potentially lethal reputation of this snake required my full attention. The following scenes are a bit of a blur to me. This was my first time handling a Bushmaster, and addressing the camera in the moment was not my first priority. But the crew still grabbed the cameras to document this unexpected experience. We used a standard snake bag to transport the snake safely to the preserve, and from there, cautiously coaxed the snake out. Snakes will often feel secure in a dark, confined location, like a snake bag, and may not exit immediately.
Oh boy.
Using my snake handling tools to avoid a bite through the bag, I was able to open the bag and reveal the snake.
Whoa.
There's the Bushmaster.
Yep, that's a big snake. Oh my goodness.
All right, so far so good. Overall, the animal looks fairly healthy.
The first thing I noticed was this creature's eyes. They may look frightening, but it is simply an indication that this snake had entered a shed cycle. As a snake prepares to shed its old outer layer of scales, lubricant will accumulate underneath to help slough off the scales easier. The resulting blue color of the eye is actually this fluid building up underneath the protective eye caps that covers a snake's lidless eyes.
Is that good or bad for us?
Well, sometimes they get a little cranky when they're gonna shed. The way I like to think about it is when snakes are in shed, as we refer to it, they're kind of having a bad hair day. But as of right now, this animal is behaving very well. And I want to do as little handling as possible, especially if it's just kind of motionless like this.
Okay.
As long as you react slow, gentle with your movements, the snake should be fine. The snake is going to react when we react.
Secondly, I could tell there was a minor scrape on the snake's snout and mouth region, but this should heal just fine as the snake goes through its shed cycle and a new layer of skin is formed. One of the most distinguishing features of this snake genus, Lachesis, is the heavily keeled, pyramid-like scales that run along the length of the body and form a dorsal ridge, giving the snake a rough and textured look.
By the length of the tail, I think this is a female.
Really?
Yep. Females
Okay.
have a kind of shorter, stockier tail. Most pit vipers give birth to live young. Bushmasters actually lay eggs, a very unique feature for a pit viper. What's really cool about Bushmasters as well is that males tend to get larger than females. In general, in the snake world, it's usually opposite.
Bushmasters are considered the largest pit viper in the world, and this species has the potential to reach 12 feet in length. This Bushmaster was about 7 feet, a good average size for a snake in this region, indicating it is likely a mature individual. Although the venom of the Bushmaster is not considered the most toxic in the region, the massive quantity of venom that a large snake could inject would be lethal. The venom is composed of hemotoxic properties which can cause severe necrosis of muscle tissues and affect blood clotting factors. Several fatalities have occurred from Bushmaster bites even after the administration of antivenom, which means I have no room for error while working with this snake.
Oh my goodness, Mario, I just got that shot. What just happened?
It actually kind of yawned and fixed one of its fangs. It's not uncommon for snakes like that to do that.
That fang was huge.
Wow.
I was wondering if we were gonna get to see those fangs.
That is a sight that you rarely will ever see, the fangs of a Bushmaster. That was pretty cool.
Wow, I'm speechless.
At a few points during the assessment process, the snake actually opened its mouth in a yawn-like fashion, exposing its long hinged fangs. This might look menacing or even threatening, but it was simply the snake realigning its fangs, which are kept folded against the upper jaw when the mouth is closed. It was definitely a unique opportunity, witnessing the fangs of this snake without being in the bite zone.
I'm sorry, but I want to capture that. That is pretty cool.
A behavior like this is something we could have never predicted to see, but my experience has taught me to always be prepared for the unexpected. This was by far one of the most intimidating snakes I have worked with. Not necessarily because of her temperament or behavior, but simply because of her size and my knowledge of the associated risks of receiving a bite.
Well, you know, obviously both Mario and I are super excited and humbled by the fact we're getting to witness this snake. It would have been cool to find our own Bushmaster, but I feel super proud to be part of this relocation process, the part of this opportunity for the snake to avoid a potential bad situation and be relocated to a place that it can live out the rest of its life on protected land. I think that speaks to the core of what Brave Wilderness stands for and the conservation efforts that we support.
Absolutely. You know, this is a female. This is a mature female that in a population is very important, right? She's going to give birth to the next generation of Bushmasters. So any Bushmaster that can be saved is fantastic for the population.
And how cool. Last night in Costa Rica, and we finally get a Bushmaster up close for the cameras. Quick little fist bump. Iceland, a country sprawling with dramatic landscapes and explosive volcanic terrain. A place that truly embodies the meaning of the word adventure, with every vista and every step forth on its craggy soil. That's a volcano. Just erupted 8 years ago. For me, this would be my first visit to the Nordic island nation that is far more green than its northern neighbor of Greenland. However, this would be no traditional adventure. It was a solo mission. My goal? To scout future expeditions and adventures for Coyote and the crew, a mission I have led myself many times in the past. Remember those dinosaur footprints? Yep, I found those months earlier on a scouting expedition in southern Utah. But now, because of advancements in camera technology, I can take you with me on these exciting and often unexpected adventures.
Here we go. Time to go snorkeling. In freezing water. Let's do this.
While on my Icelandic journey, I explored places like the Valley of Thor, rode Icelandic horses, and even got to visit a world-famous spa, the Blue Lagoon. I still don't know what that is on my face, but hey, everyone was doing it, so why not? Anyways, there's one particular adventure on this expedition that I simply couldn't wait to show you. That being my journey into the icy waters of the Silfra Fissure. The fissure itself is a byproduct of the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates drifting apart, leaving in their wake multiple rifts that fill with some of the purest water on the planet. All right guys, we're about to go snorkeling in the Silfra Fissure, some of the clearest water visibility in all of the world, and actually one of the only places that you can dive between two continents. Literally, we are standing in the fissure that separates Eurasia and North America right now, and we're gonna go diving in a natural spring. So it's very cold. We definitely don't want water getting inside our suits because it's around 2 degrees Celsius, just above freezing, but it's gonna be pretty awesome. We're about to go get our snorkel gear together and get in, so let's go. Is that graceful? Look good? No? Okay. Well, it's gonna keep you warm, so that's what's important. As I walked down the steps of the platform, a nervous anticipation started to set in. Entering 36-degree Fahrenheit water isn't something I tend to do every day. I mean, this water is only 4 degrees above freezing. Safe to say, it doesn't get much colder than this. So guys, my sister's helping us out today. Say hi to everybody, Vic. She came to Iceland with me, so she's the cameraman today. But here we go. We're gonna go snorkeling in the Silfra Fissure. Time to get in.
As I plunged into the water, my face was instantly met with a stinging sensation. The shock distracted me, but then suddenly, an explosion of color. This landscape was absolutely surreal, something straight out of the pages of a science fiction novel. And to top it all off, the water was 100% crystal clear. It was nearly unbelievable. The visibility in the fissure on a good day is said to extend well beyond 300 feet, and I think we can all look at this footage and confirm that that is definitely true. I can see now why so many people with the fear of heights have issues with this experience. It literally felt as if nothing was between me and the bottom of the fissure. In fact, the sensation was actually closer to that of flying than it was to swimming. That is, until I tried to actually kick with my fins. The dry suit, while providing life-saving warmth and insulation, made it nearly impossible to move. The buoyancy it created restricted my movement so much that to a large degree, I was only able to move forward by the assistance of the current. However, I will say this lack of mobility actually allowed me to relax and enjoy the experience as a whole and really take in all the color and spectacular scenery. Sometimes, it's nice to just be along for the ride. So how does a place like the Silfra Fissure come to exist? Well, as it turns out, Iceland sits smack dab on the mid-Atlantic ridge, which is formed by the separation of the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates. In Thingvellir National Park, the separation of these plates expands nearly 1 inch every year. But over the course of millions of years, it has created fissures, which are filled by a natural aquifer and glacial meltwater from the surrounding peaks. This water moves slowly, very slowly. In fact, it can take up to nearly 100 years to travel and filter itself through the porous volcanic soil, making it some of the purest H2O on the planet. It is so pure, you can literally drink the water around you as you swim through the fissure. And yes, I definitely tried it out.
Well, the water is cold. But I can tell you guys, this is by far the clearest visibility I've ever encountered. And oh, by the way, the water is delicious. It's about the purest water that you could ever drink. So it is one of those scenarios where you can't drink the water. It's pretty awesome. Iceland.
While it is delicious, it is actually the purity and frigid temperature of the water that helps to create the vivid colors and the landscape of this environment. As I continued to drift along, I couldn't help but dream of coming back to dive this location with the team. My imagination was literally running wild, trying to picture what the scene must be like from the bottom of the fissure. And I was also beginning to wonder, what else might live down there? Is there something down there besides algae and troll grass? But just as I started to consider the idea of taking a free dive to find out, I noticed the battery on my GoPro, which was full 20 minutes prior, was now at only 1%.
Woo! Wow guys, the water is so cold that it's literally draining the life out of this GoPro. But before it dies, I just want to say that getting to snorkel the Silfra Fissure here in Iceland has to be one of the coolest experiences I've ever done. I'm Mark Vince, be brave, stay wild. We'll see you on the next location. Whew, this water's cold. Just seeing that footage makes me want to go grab my dive gear, jump on an airplane, head back to Iceland, and get down there to explore the depths of those fissures. I can only imagine how cool it looks from the bottom. Unfortunately, we are going to have to wait a little bit longer for that adventure, guys. That was just a scouting mission, but I can 100% guarantee you that Coyote, Mario, and myself will be heading back to Iceland on an epic adventure very soon. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed this behind-the-scenes peek of the Silfra Fissure and just what it takes to location scout productions for Brave Wilderness.
Welcome to Tiger Beach. Located off the coast of West End Grand Bahama, this location is not a beach at all, but rather a world-famous destination for shark diving. More specifically, tiger shark diving. What makes this dive site so special are the powdery white sand bottoms, the beaches, if you will, that reflect brilliant ambient light
through warm, crystal clear tropical water, creating a very special shark diving experience that is world-class and second to none. And not only will you see tiger sharks, you can encounter up to 5 different species. All formidable, all top marine predators, all on the same dive. To say we were starting out our shark diving adventures in a big way might be a bit of an understatement. And with this being such a landmark moment for Mario and I, we simply couldn't imagine doing this adventure without inviting along someone very special. All right, guys, here we are. Big day. We're about to head offshore to swim with tiger sharks. This is going to be so crazy, and I think you guys know we couldn't do this without our main man, so we flew him in especially for today. Coyote's here, guys. What's up, buddy?
Hey!
How was your flight?
Oh, it was excellent. Only a few hours to get down here. This is an epic-looking boat. Permission to come aboard?
Granted, come on. All right. Are you excited to swim with these giant sharks?
A little nervous, but also extremely excited. This is our first time getting to work with a predator of this size, specifically an ocean predator, so I'm ready to get in there with the tiger sharks.
All right, well, we got your gear all set up out back. Let's go check it out.
Okay, off we go.
With the crew now complete and all aboard our home at sea, we set off for Tiger Beach. Some 20 miles offshore, our destiny awaited, and with it, the hungry teeth of tiger sharks. So how's it feel being the director?
It's different. Definitely, I used to take kind of the secondary role in the camera, but now I'm stepping up to direct. And yeah, it's a learning process, and I'm excited to see what's to come.
Now, I think it's fair to say that this expedition was unlike anything we've ever done before. Not only was it a new challenge, it was a new danger as well. And to be honest, it was the first time I've ever experienced true fear prior to one of our trips. Oh boy. Now, I know that might seem odd, since I filmed everything from grizzly bears and wolverines to the world's deadliest spider, but I won't lie, I was nervous. I know the majority of my fear stemmed from my inexperience with sharks, but let's face it, these are sharks, big sharks, with razor-sharp teeth. So it goes without saying, expert guidance would be essential. And as luck would have it, Jonathan Bird and his team of Blue World divers were available to join the trip. Jonathan and his crew have over 20 years of underwater filmmaking experience, and his Emmy Award-winning program, Jonathan Bird's Blue World, is in its 6th season. Let's just say these guys know what they're doing, and they had some critical advice for us shark diving rookies. All right, guys, well, we have our gear on, and the boat is completely surrounded by sharks right now. We wouldn't be doing this if we weren't with an expert, and today we have Jonathan Bird from Jonathan Bird's Blue World here to teach us what we're doing and keep us safe. Is this safe?
It's safe.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not aggressive towards divers. The only thing you want to do is just try to not be prey by not acting like prey. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to wear gloves and a hood so you don't have any skin showing. They won't think that looks like fish, you know.
Okay.
And then when you hit the water, you want to get straight to the bottom. You don't want to flounder around like you might be something flopping on the surface that they might want to eat. So you just want to get to the sand, and then once you're down there, they're going to treat you just like they treat everything else in the ocean. You're just another creature there.
Okay, so don't flap and splash around on the surface.
No.
Trying to grab my camera. Just go down.
Just grab your camera, boom, right to the bottom.
Okay, did you hear that, guys? We're going in. Coyote, are you ready?
About as ready as I'm gonna be. Let's get in there with those sharks.
In addition to Jonathan's mentorship on dive techniques and camera operation, his keen sense of shark behavior would be crucial in assuring our safety underwater. After going through and prepping our dive gear, we had a final safety briefing with the crew of the ship. A serious shark bite this far at sea, even with the fastest life flights, would almost certainly be fatal. This fact was not meant to scare us, but was a stern reminder that strictly following shark protocol was an absolute must. The moments between the safety briefing and preparing to dive are hazy in my mind even to this day, as the reality of getting in the water with sharks became very real very quickly. Well, we've done all the intro shots, we're suited up, and we're actually about ready to get in there with the sharks. I'm looking over the surface, check this out. Guys, there's a lot of big sharks down there. It's one thing to talk about getting into the water with these top predators, it's another thing to actually do it. So I'm a little on edge, I'd say. And I know it's gonna be cool, but there is that moment of actually jumping off the boat that I've been kind of dreading. And yeah, I guess it's my time. Let's go and get in the water with those giant sharks. Here we go. The water was now thick with chum, and the stench of decaying fish filled the air. My heart was pounding as countless sharks circled our perimeter, and time seemed to slow down. The sight below drove fear into even the bravest among us. We all made our way to the platform, hoping to find a shred of comfort in our pre-dive routine. But nothing could distract us from the obvious. Getting in the water was inevitable, and that moment was now. One by one, Jonathan and his crew descended below, each plunge drawing us closer to the edge. Then Coyote gave me one final glance, and off he went. I stood motionless as I watched him disappear beneath the surface. Mario, I'm usually really confident about everything we do, but today, man, I hope we didn't bite off more than we could chew. Regardless, I got your back.
Got your back too, man. Let's do it.
You ready?
Ready.
Let's do it. By this point, the chum had drawn in hordes of lemon sharks. And maybe it was just me, but they seemed to be getting bigger and bigger right before my very eyes. Well, with every shark dive comes the moment where you actually have to dive in with the sharks. That moment is right now. Oh boy. As I plunged beneath the surface, cool water rushed through my wetsuit, sending an instant shock up my spine. My eyes scrambled, struggling to adjust just as they always do when first entering the water. However, this time was different. This time, I knew I was completely surrounded by sharks. But something strange happened as the environment around me came into view. The nerves I felt above the water instantly vanished and were replaced by laser focus. In a snap, my vision and other senses elevated to a hyperstate, a sensation I had never felt until this very moment. Within these few but critical milliseconds, my entire perspective changed. I was indeed aware of the countless lemon sharks around me, but I could also sense their intentions were not to attack. If anything, they seemed curious. Oddly enough, I actually began to feel calm. Then, I quickly remembered my training, to not stay at the surface in the feeding zone. So with that, I began my slow descent to the bottom. The water clarity was incredible. Light beams cut through the surface and glistened all around me. Sharks and reef fish of all sizes flowed in and out of view in perfect harmony. And my heightened sense of awareness made this journey all the more spectacular. As I neared the bottom, the crew came into focus. Only another 10 feet to go. And like the lunar module coming in for a moon landing, I prepared for impact. Then with a slow and subtle thud, I had landed at Tiger Beach. The thud quickly triggered my mind and body into action mode. It was time to survey the sharks I could see, but more importantly, start searching for the ones I could not. Lemons, reef, and nurse sharks circled the group, making an eclectic mix of predators. And although they were pretty good size, they nearly vanished in plain sight. My eyes were searching for one thing and one thing only: tiger sharks. I know it's hard to fathom how a giant 10-foot plus shark could literally appear out of nowhere, but trust me, they really can. And the most dangerous shark is always the one behind you. Suddenly, a dark shadow began to appear, moving like a stealthy submarine from the edges of the ocean. My heart must have been racing 1,000,000 miles a second. And then, a quick burst of adrenaline allowed me to process the fact that an enormous tiger shark was headed straight for me. I couldn't believe my eyes as the shark glided past. It was so big, Its mass literally displaced the water around me, pushing my body aside by the power of its wake. And just as I was coming to grips with the reality of the situation, like a phantom, it was gone. To be honest, I never imagined I would find myself in this situation, kneeling at the bottom of the ocean, face to face with a tiger shark. And the crazy part was, I couldn't wait for it to come back. Knowing where the sharks are at all times is the only way to prevent an accidental attack, which is also the most frequent kind of attack that occurs in these situations. And knowing the location of the sharks is a team effort. Everyone checking their surroundings and signaling to unsuspecting divers of a shark's whereabouts. Sharks by their very nature are curious. You can sense this immediately being in their presence. Their eyes constantly scanning, their movements subtle and calculating. But the one thing sharks also do is investigate with their mouths. And this is not what you want to happen to your body 40 feet below the surface. Even a taste test in these situations can be fatal. So knowing where and how a shark is approaching you is vital to avoiding any regrettable situations. When we first arrived at the bottom, the sharks were still very cautious, circling us at a distance of 15 feet or more. But with every lap, they became more and more confident, especially when the dive master began to introduce food. Seeing the sharks chow down giant chunks of fish was a quick reminder of the seriousness of those teeth. The way they could just devour fish after fish after fish was extremely impressive. In fact, their jaws are so strong, they can even crack the shell of a sea turtle. While in feeding mode, this initiated the sharks to investigate the rest of us. Almost as if they were thinking, who else has some tasty fish for me? Well, none of us did, so when this happened, it created some spectacular flybys. One after another, they would approach and veer to the right, and then to the left, and sometimes right overhead. The overhead shots were by far the most fun to film. In fact, the sharks got so close, you could actually see the electroreceptors in their snouts, which are used to detect prey. At this point, Mario, Coyote, and I were having a blast. Even Jonathan was getting into it. I could tell how mesmerized we had all become by these apex predators. Their intelligence, just as formidable as their jaws. Then, just as their curiosity and comfort levels hit their peak, came the contacts. As scary as this sounds, it's actually quite simple to redirect them away from you. The key to this maneuver is to gently palm down the shark's snout and push it away from you, letting its momentum do all the work. Check this out. Look at that barrel roll. Believe it or not, it was actually kind of fun having these contacts. But then there are times when the contacts get a little bit dicey. And to no fault of his own, Coyote, well, let's just watch. Yikes, that was close. So close. In fact, let's watch that again in slow-mo. See, one thing you don't want to happen when making contact with any shark is place your hands or any part of your body under its nose. This will trigger a reflex that drops the shark's jaws, and yeah, you can kind of fill in the rest on why this is bad. Good thing Coyote got lucky and was able to quickly avoid that chomp, or this would have turned into a horrific bite episode. Definitely not something we ever want to happen. After Coyote's close call, we all realized our air was running low, and it was time to head back to the boat. One by one, we ascended to the safety stop just below the ship. At this point, I could see the smiles all around. We had done it. We successfully completed our first major shark dive. And what made it most special is that we had done it together. that was pretty amazing, guys.
Wow, were those some up-close encounters with some gorgeous sharks. I don't think you get much closer to the tiger shark than I got on that dive. Amazing. Whew. All right, let me get this gear off.
Well, guys, we did it. We dove with some really giant sharks. Dude, that was awesome. What a great way to start off the Blue Wilderness series. And I, for one, cannot wait until our next adventure. I'm Mark Vins.
And I'm Coyote Peterson.
Be brave.
Stay wild.
We'll see you on the next dive.
While this is only the beginning of our explorations on Blue Wilderness, I will always look back on this adventure as the one that truly reshaped my perspective of the ocean. And more importantly, of sharks. While the lore and fictions of pop culture have painted them as menacing monsters of the deep, the reality is they are highly intelligent and inquisitive creatures, rightfully deserving to be respected, but above all, cherished for what they truly are. Survivors of time, ancient relics of an abyss that is millions upon millions of years old. In many ways, they have already discovered the secrets of the ocean. Our goal is to learn from them, and with any luck, uncover some of its mysteries for ourselves.
We are on a sea turtle rescue mission, and right now there's a turtle on a beach about 15 miles north from here and needs our help. These sea turtles, when they end up beach, it's because they're distressed and they can no longer swim. And without programs like the one we're participating in, they would all certainly die. So needless to say, this sea turtle right now, its life depends on us. Just this past year alone, more than 850 sea turtles were rescued off the shores of Massachusetts, a number that has been sadly increasing. Endangered sea turtles like the Kemp's Ridley, green, and loggerhead are washing up on beaches due to cold stunning, and the changing climate is only making matters worse. I think I see it. Yep, here's our turtle. A volunteer was combing this beach and they discovered this Kemp's Ridley sea turtle. And this is exactly what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to take the turtles off of the beach, away from the wind, and then you can see it was covered here with this bit of straw to protect it from exposure. And it does look like we are in time for this sea turtle to have a chance, because you can see it still has a little bit of strength in its neck, just enough to pick up its head. And that is a very good sign, because most of the turtles that you find that are cold stunned cannot move whatsoever. So let's bundle this little turtle up and take it to the Wellfleet Sanctuary, where it will start its process of rehabilitation and hopeful re-release back into the wild. Rapidly fluctuating sea temperatures due to climate change are narrowing the window for these turtles to safely migrate south each year. Rising sea temperatures are holding the turtles in northern waters for too long, and any sudden drop in water temperature below 50 degrees results in a mass cold stunning event for these marine reptiles. We have to be super quiet because these turtles are already really stressed, and loud noises have been proven to stress them even further. Oh, poor little turtle. We did notice that it had a bit of a response when we picked it up off the beach. Like it had some ability to raise its head.
So that's pretty rare, honestly. A lot of the time these turtles are barely moving at all. Sometimes we'll think a turtle's dead and we'll leave it overnight to assess in the morning to make sure that it's still alive. Yeah.
Cool. Is this our turtle?
This is our turtle.
All right. How do we know that this turtle isn't dead?
So when we first bring it onto this processing table, we will check to see if its flippers are in rigor.
Rigor is short for rigor mortis. When an animal dies, it starts to seize up and all of its joints and body parts become stiff.
So there was slight movement right there.
Saw that.
Yep, we'll kind of gently tug on their back flippers, and then we'll touch their eye for a small eye response as well. And then what we'll do is we will actually use this pit tag scanner here, because sometimes these turtles wash in and they have been tagged and no tag was detected here. Then the next thing we'll do is we will take measurements of its carapace. We will look to see if there are any injuries on the turtle anywhere, sometimes from pecking from seagulls if they've been sitting on the beach for a while. And then they'll sometimes have some wounds on their carapace.
And that's why it's so important to get these turtles off the beach as quickly as possible. Each animal receives a number upon entry to the Wellfleet Bay Wildlife Sanctuary. And of the 4 sea turtles we assisted in rescuing, number 569 was the first to be sent for urgent care.
On your way, bud.
So we quickly mobilized and followed it to the New England Aquarium's Sea Turtle Hospital. man, look at all these turtles. Okay, we'll see you in a little bit. Let's go, guys. All right, here we are at the Sea Turtle Hospital. Let's go inside to see our Kemp's Ridley start its rehabilitation process. Come on this way. All right, how's it going, Adam? Thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming.
So are these our turtles?
These are our turtles, and you got 569, and the Kemps are very similar looking. As you'll see, there's lots of turtles everywhere. And once they get into the water, they look even more similar. So we'll bring them up, we'll put a number on their shell, and we put a band around their flipper. So that way when we're looking for certain turtles, especially when they're in the water, they'll be easier to find.
Awesome.
Now we're gonna try to listen to see what the heart rate sounds like.
Oh, cool. And their metabolism at this rate is very slow.
Extremely slow.
And that's why you need these special instruments to be able to read that. We're listening for the turtle's heartbeat. So far, I just hear static. Oh, I think I just heard a whoosh. So this turtle's significantly lower heart rate than it's going to be when it leaves.
Exactly,
okay.
Yeah. So with that, we will give it a dose of epinephrine that will help get that heart rate a little bit up there, get them a little bit more prepped for a swim.
So this is like the jump start for the rehabilitation process here at the hospital.
Once a sea turtle receives epinephrine, it is then placed in a small pool of water for observation. Also called a swim test, this is where the clinical team will look for signs of other damage and possible infections.
Let's see how 569 does.
So that's a great sign, obviously, that nice little breath there. And turtle's going into the water. And so, yeah, I mean, he's ready to go.
That.
For these turtles, freshwater is important because of the dehydration piece. Helps rehydrate them. 1 or 2 days in that freshwater won't be detrimental, and then they're into the full saltwater tanks. These turtles have been out there breathing in cold air, water, so we see a lot of pneumonia. So you can kind of see he's slowing down a little bit there.
Okay.
We also see how high in the water he is, so he's definitely got some gas in his system there that's keeping him very floaty. As you can see, and he has some odd coloration in those front flippers, so he may have some skin issues that over the next few days as he warms up might become a little bit more prevalent.
So I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Adam, but in your professional experience, how would you say our turtle here, number 569, is looking in terms of its potential for rehabilitation?
Yeah, no, the prognosis for this turtle at this point would be good. I saw some bubbles coming out of the ears, the nose. Then you saw him lift his head and took a nice breath. So that's all great things.
Love it. That is so great to hear. And it's so nice to see the turtle lively again. I feel like most people who would encounter one of these cold stun turtles on the beach might even think they were already dead. But sure enough, here at the hospital, after a little shot of epinephrine and a chance to swim, we've got a lot of movement. All right, so now that our turtle has swam for the first time at the hospital, part of the rehabilitation process of warming them back up to the appropriate temperature, which is about 72 degrees, takes a few days. After treating nearly 5,000 turtles, this facility has learned quite a bit about how to bring the temperature back up in the appropriate way, and the best way they found to do it is a staged process over days using multiple tanks. Over the next 2 days, they will actually be placed in the saltwater baths that will raise them up to about 65 degrees and then eventually up to the 72 degrees that you'll see here in the holding tanks. These turtles here, they're already being raised up to temperature. Pretty cool, and definitely something that really helps these turtles stand a chance of being re-released.
Along with being critically endangered, the Kemp's Ridley is also the rarest sea turtle on the planet. Once abundant, their population suffered a massive crash in the 1980s, where as few as 250 nesting females were estimated to remain. Luckily for the world's smallest and rarest sea turtle, large-scale conservation efforts helped restore their population to stability by the mid-2000s. However, with current climate trends being as they are, the pressure is now back on to save this species from extinction.
I've heard reports that the Kemp's Ridley are somewhere in the population of 30 to 40,000 individuals in the world. Is that what you've heard also?
They are a critically endangered population.
So, I mean, the fact that you're seeing thousands of turtles come to the facility, this is a significant mass of this species.
Getting these guys through and back into the ocean is critical.
Well, this is not the end of the road for the video, guys. We actually have one more step that we want to show you as part of this turtle rehabilitation program. This one, though, is going to take us on a short trip to the airport. So as you can see, we are no longer in the Sea Turtle Hospital. We are in an air hangar because there's an amazing volunteer program called Turtles Fly 2 that takes these sea turtles down to warmer waters in the southern United States, where they will finish their rehabilitation and be released back into the wild much sooner than Mother Nature would allow here in New England. And we just got word that the turtles will rise, so it's time to get to work and load up these sea turtles. All right, so you have a van load and a truckload full of sea turtles that are being loaded up by volunteers and aquarium staff onto this aircraft right now. They're trying to set a record today by loading 100 sea turtles onto this airplane. That's a lot of reptiles. So right now the pilot and the co-pilot are up there playing a little bit of turtle Tetris to try to get all of these animals loaded up onto this aircraft. It takes a lot of resources to fly these turtles, so they want to make sure every flight is efficient and as productive as they can. Trying to get one more up there.
Yeah, I think they have a little shorter banana box.
Okay. Nice. Oh, there's more turtles. There's always more turtles. Last one. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, got the final turtle box to load into the aircraft. Last one. Something I never thought I would say. Turtles on an airplane. But here in New England, it happens about a dozen times a year. That's cool.
The turtles that make the flight to Florida are the ones ready to be released back into the wild. But others needing more long-term rehabilitation, like our friend 569, will continue to receive care at the Sea Turtle Hospital until they are ready to be released when spring returns to New England. Researchers have predicted that by 2031, just 8 years from this video's release, thousands of cold-stunned sea turtles will wash up on New England shores every single year. It takes an amazing collaboration to combat these events and return healthy sea turtles into the ocean to rejoin their populations. From emergency veterinarians to airplane pilots to hundreds of beachcombing volunteers, I was so proud to play a small part in saving these rare and endangered animals. But the work continues every single day from the cold shores of Cape Cod to the warm waters of South Florida. And these wildlife heroes need our support. Please join Brave Wilderness in the New England Aquarium by clicking the link in the description to donate, spread awareness, or perhaps volunteer yourself in the effort to save these beloved treasures of our oceans. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure to search for the Brave Wilderness channel on YouTube so you can join me and the crew on our upcoming adventures.